Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
Sean, on weekdays, it's all about the Fast 5, which is the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, we still keep it to 5 minutes, but we're going to pick out the biggest story of the week, the sleeper story, which is one that's flying under the radar, the most remarkable business story, and our favourite story. So let's jump straight in with the biggest business story of the week. What was it?
Has to be the economy. Economic growth for the December quarter came in 0.2%. Not much going on there. For the full year, it was 1.5%, while the population grew by 2.4%, 1.5% obviously lower. Therefore, we've actually had a per capita recession for about 3 quarters now. The average economic growth rate over the decades is about 2.5% to 3%. So 1.5% ain't so good for 2023. In terms of the different sectors, households are finding it tough. We know that because for months we've been paying plenty for petrol, electricity, groceries, etc. We're cutting back on stuff like cafes, clothing, footwear, cars. Good news is that businesses are still investing and governments are still spending money, maybe too much. We also have those tax cuts coming down the line. Throw that all together. The growth figures suggest that maybe, just maybe, interest rate cuts are a little closer than we thought, Michael.
Oh, that would be some good news, Sean. The biggest story for me combines kind of international politics and the Australian economy. This week, Australia played host to the ASEAN Summit, which is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And so it was a special meeting held in Melbourne. And this is actually a really important block, really, for Australian trade, because our second biggest trading partner in the world isn't the US or the European Union or Japan or India or anything. It is the ASEAN members, countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, $178 billion of two-way trade in 2022. So this is really important, and some big kind of deals and discussions about kind of finance to fund green energy and infrastructure investment in the region. Got electricity deals and kind of big partnerships on education, all kinds of things, and deals for maritime security and protection. Really, there was a lot happening in Melbourne this week, and it's really, really important for Australia's place in the region and for our trade.
Yeah, good story, that one.
Most remarkable, what was it?
Oh, look, to me, it was the incredible effort of the banks this week, but also in recent months. The Commonwealth Bank's share price hit an all-time high this week. Westpac was at its highest level since 2015. National Australia Bank reached its highest level since the global financial crisis. Bunch of moving parts on this, some for, some against. Falling interest rates, which we're likely to see later this year, are supposed to be bad for banks. Profit margins at the banks are definitely being squeezed. Also, most bank analysts, people who for a living say buy or sell banks, reckon that they're overpriced. Commonwealth Bank is looking particularly expensive. But given the banks are providing a dividend yield of 4% plus, they remain attractive to many retail investors, and they're gorillas in the market. If you're buying an index fund, you've got to buy the banks. Also, we're just not seeing as many bad debts as we might expect. Since late October, early November, Commonwealth Bank and NAB are up 23%, ANZ's up 19%, Westpac's up more than 30%. Truly quite a remarkable run for the banks.
Yeah, certainly is. I'll give a quick special mention to, Sean, a story that we knew was coming, but it is still remarkable because it is inevitable now that it is going to be Donald Trump taking on Joe Biden to be president of the United States, because this week we had Super Tuesday, 15 states and 1 territory voting in their primaries. Trump won all but one of them over his opponent, Nikki Haley, who then dropped out of the race. So it is going to be Trump v. Biden in November. Prepare for what's that, 8 months of theatre and drama, Sean.
Could be a rough 8 months. Michael, what's the sleeper story of the week for you?
Look, just a quick one. The corporate watchdog in Australia has done some incredible work. ASIC shut down nearly 3,500 investment scam websites in just 8 months. That is quite remarkable when you think about it, the fact that and we haven't kind of talked about it enough. And ASIC is working really hard to protect consumers. And they actually said that scammers are taking advantage of people desperate to make some extra money in the cost of living crisis. So the fact that they are in there doing that, looking out for people, is great. And there's also a sleeper element to this because these scams are getting better, more sophisticated, using AI, kind of deep fake images of celebrities. Any kind of awareness of this is a good thing. It's a little bit of a sleeper story, but let's just keep talking about it and make sure the message gets out there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Very quickly, my sleeper story is the fact that faster internet speeds might be on the way. The NBN Co, the wholesaler of the National Fibre Optic Network, has asked internet providers if they can handle faster download speeds. We might have faster internet soon. One of the big reasons for it is the fact that there's competition in the market. 5G, low Earth orbiting satellites, they're putting some serious competition in the marketplace, and that's good for consumers, Michael.
Now, Sean, our favourite story of the week, usually there's kind of a business link to this. This one has nothing to do with business, but it is just an incredible story, isn't it?
It is one of the world's most iconic photos of a sailor kissing a woman in New York Times Square on VJ Day at the end of World War II was this week caught up in a fight over consent. The photo appeared in Life magazine, and it's of a sailor holding a stranger who's leaning backwards and they're kissing. One of the world's best-known snaps. It was taken on August 14, 1945, known as VJ Day, the day Japan surrendered to the United States, as people spilled into the New York City streets from restaurants, bars and movie theatres celebrating the news. George Mendonça spotted Greta Friedman, spun her around and planted a kiss. The two had never met. Fast forward to today, the US Veteran Affairs requested the photo's removal from all its health facilities because it depicts a non-consensual act and is inconsistent with the department's sexual harassment policy. Higher-ups eventually stepped in and said, no, it's okay. Years later, Ms. Friedman was interviewed. She said she wasn't aware of the photo until the 1960s, and she told the BBC it wasn't much of a kiss, it was just somebody celebrating. It wasn't a romantic event. However, there is a woman in the background of the photo called Rita Petrie. Ms. Petrie and Mr. Mendonça were actually on a date that day, and notwithstanding the kiss, the two went on to marry and live happily together for 70 years, Michael.
That is just an amazing story, isn't it? And look, it's not very businessy, but still 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Don't forget to hit follow. Join us online on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed.